Welcome to the Midlife Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Lewis. I'm a coach for midlife moms with a background as a mental health therapist. I help midlife moms who are feeling lost and stuck to be able to discover and create their dream midlife. Let's do this. Welcome back, midlife moms, to the podcast this week. At the time of this recording, it is mid-July. I live in Arkansas in the northwest part, and we had a spell where the weather was really, really hot, and then it cooled down, and we've been like in the 80s. Actually, yesterday we got in the 70s, which is very unusual, but it's been really nice. And I like to spend my time outdoors. I love to hike, to walk. We have a lake that's not too far. And I've just been enjoying the warmer weather when it's not too warm, but just being able to get outside. It definitely is my happy place in being out in the sunshine, being out in nature. So I hope that you get to find things in your life that are enjoyable for you, that just bring you so much joy, whatever that is. Okay, on to the podcast topic for this week. I'm going to do a series of podcasts called Mental Wellness Toolkit. There are certain things that are pretty essential to help us in having mental wellness, and I'm going to start with talking about those different things. Today's going to be sleep. And the reason I decided to do this is because I've been thinking about my own sleep and what it's been like, particularly in this stage of midlife. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not so great. I was thinking back how as a child and as a teen, I slept really soundly. Even as a young adult, I slept pretty soundly, although you know how it is. Young adult years, it's very sporadic with when you sleep and you're sleeping at different times of the day. But I would say that when I would sleep, it was pretty sound. Now, once I became a mom and had a newborn, y'all know that changes things up with your sleep patterns. Having newborns, having babies, having young children that wake you up because they have nightmares, and then having teenagers that want to stay up late and maybe talk, or they're just up late being loud, and that can also impact our sleep. So it seems like, at least my experience, once I became a mom, that my sleep just totally changed. And the other thing that I noticed is I would wake up easier versus before when I slept more soundly. And I don't know if this is part of becoming a mom, that when you start having children, you have this little sensor that, listens for the sound of a baby or a child. And then forever after that, it feels like you're always sensitive to things that you hear. Anyway, at least that's been my experience. And now, being a midlife mom and having hormone changes, I'm noticing my sleep being impacted again. So it's like I had my children leave home, and that wasn't an issue anymore with being woken up related to children. And then my hormones started changing. And it sounds like this is more common for women in this stage of life, that it can impact their sleep. It definitely has mine. I definitely don't sleep as soundly and notice that I can wake up easier. And it's just been a little bit harder for me. So I thought that this would be a good podcast to talk about with sleep. And part of it for me is needing to change some of my sleep habits to help improve my sleep. So there was an article that I came across called Sleep 101, Why Sleep is So Important to Your Health. And in this article, it talks about how sleep is essential to every process in our bodies, that it impacts us physically and mentally in our abilities to function the next day, that it also impacts our ability to fight disease, to develop immunity, and it also impacts our metabolism and our risk for chronic diseases. Now, there's a part of our sleep that's really, really important, and this is the REM sleep, or the rapid eye movement state of our sleep. This is where we're kind of in that dreamlike state. And this is really important because it impacts our ability it impacts memory consolidation or the processing of information or memories. It helps us regulate our emotions, which I've totally noticed this with me. If I'm pretty emotional and I can get some sleep, I feel so much better the next morning. I didn't necessarily know it was connected to REM sleep, but it definitely helps me. The REM sleep state helps with regulating our emotions. It enhances creative thinking and problem solving. REM sleep also occurs at the second half of the sleep period, or it actually increases at the second half of our sleep cycle. So if you're sleeping 7 to 8 hours, the REM sleep is taking place, or you're accumulating more REM sleep at the end of the sleep cycle. So if you had someone that got 4 hours of sleep and then they're like, oh, I'm going to go take a nap and get another 4 hours, they're not going to get the good quality REM sleep because you need to have continuous sleep for a longer period of time. So that can be helpful to understand the importance of getting continuous sleep throughout the night because it enhances the ability to have that REM sleep. So what's the impact of not getting enough sleep or poor quality sleep? I'm guessing all of us, we're moms, at one time or another have not had good quality sleep or not enough sleep, and we feel pretty lousy. But the other impact of not getting continuously good sleep or poor quality sleep is it can lead to other health issues. It can lead to increased risk of obesity, of cardiovascular disease, hypertension, or blood pressure. It could also impact our cognitive function, just our brain not working as well. So like I said, we all kind of know this, but why is it that so many people are not getting good sleep or getting enough of it and then use caffeine the next day to make up for the lack of sleep? If getting enough sleep is a challenge for you or you want to better prioritize it, I'm going to go through a couple of things that can help with promoting good sleep habits. Getting regular exercise. Maintain a cool, dark, and quiet bedroom. Create a regular bedtime routine with soothing activities for you, maybe something like reading with a soft light or taking a bath, maybe essential oils or other things that you find relaxing, but having a routine every night. Leaving screens out of the bedroom, turning them off an hour before bed. My husband and I like to watch a show in the evening. We've started getting into different series, and we'll watch it right before going to bed. I'll notice that while we're watching it, I might get sleepy and sometimes I'll fall asleep during the show. But then as soon as I wake up and I start getting ready for bed, wash my face, brush my teeth, all those things, then I try to get back in bed, or I try to get in bed and I am awake and I'm not able to go to sleep. And TV didn't used to impact me like this, or watching a movie, but I'm noticing that it is. So I'm trying to create the habit of turning off screens for myself, phone included, an hour before bedtime, and then doing other activities that are quieter and that don't involve a screen. The use of caffeine throughout the day can also impact the sleep. I've seen different things about having caffeine, before noon. I don't know for sure the stats on that, but obviously caffeine, if you're taking it later in the afternoon or evening, could impact your sleep in the evening. Maybe having some soft noise in the room. If you're really sensitive to other noises, like if you have other people in the house and you hear that, something like a noise machine could be something to try. A few years ago, actually it was about 4 years ago, our oldest grandchild was born and they were living at our house and they were in an upstairs bedroom. And of course, my mama ears, when I'd hear that baby crying, would wake up. And so we started using a sound machine at that time, and it was really, really helpful. And since that time, we've continued to use it because I am more sensitive to noise. Even if my husband is getting up, I will hear him get up, and the noise machine will help drown that out. There's different noise machines out there. I actually found one that makes brown noise, which I hadn't heard of, but the brown noise for me is a little bit softer than white noise. Anyway, you have to figure out what works for you, but it is an option if you notice you're more sensitive to noise, of having something that drowns that out in the bedroom. Making sure that your mattress and pillow are ones that work for you. If it's not as comfortable for you anymore, or it's gotten older, that could be something to consider replacing. Hormones and perimenopause. This is something that can impact our sleep. And if you're not sure if that is impacting you, or you know it is because you're waking up with hot flashes, it's something to consider going in and talking to your doctor about and seeing what the options are. If you notice when you go to sleep that your brain will spin, like it starts thinking about this and about this and about this and about this, one thing that you could try doing is writing the things down that are on your mind before going to bed. But if it's just spinning about random things, like if you just have kind of a busy brain, another thing to try is listening to something that is not too activating. Something like a podcast or a book. Again, you want it to be something that's not going to get your brain too activated, but something that you can listen to and kind of tune out all the chatter in your brain. It's something to try. I personally know that getting sleep, as I shared before, it's something that has been a little more challenging for me, particularly in the past couple years. And so I know that it can be challenging to try to figure out how to get the good sleep, but just being aware of how important it is. And if you're one that tends to skip out on some sleep so you can do activities or to get things done, just to consider the impact that that can have. And if change is needed, maybe take one of the things that was discussed in this podcast today and try it. Or be asking yourself, what could I do to improve my sleep routine and to make it better so that I'm improving my mental wellness, if you know that that's something that's impacting you. That's all I have for you today on sleep. I will see you next week on the Midlife Mom Podcast. If you're enjoying what you are learning on this podcast and would like to learn more about working with me as your coach, you can message me at midlifemomcoach@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram. Midlife Mom Coach is my handle. We'll see you next time on the podcast.